This is the ENHANCE Lunchinar Neurodiversity. I'm very happy to welcome you to this session today. So we organize a series of webinars actually under the title of ENHANCE Lunchinars. And in these Lunchinar, we discuss several important societal topics. And the Lunchinars are, let's say, bite-sized learning sessions, which are designed to foster critical thinking and engage our community and stimulate public debate, basically. The aim is also to create a space where we can all learn and reflect on pressing issues in academia and society. And today's topic is also something I'm looking forward to learn a lot, because I personally don't know also a lot about that. Neurodiversity has all eyes on it currently. It's a topic that I hear quite often, but still don't know lots of aspects of that. So I'm happy also to learn and together with you. And we are also so happy that we have such expertise within our ENHANCE Alliance, welcoming today Dr. Łukasz Sienkiewicz from Gdańska Department of Human Capital, and also involved in ENHANCE Alliance as work package member in Human Dimension, how we call it. And María Alfonso Molina from UPV València, also part of ENHANCE Alliance, and she's co-lead at work package dedicated to future learning and also doing her research at UPV. But before I leave the floor to our speakers, let me tell you first things first. First, before we proceed, I want to emphasize that this event is a safe and respectful space for learning and being curious also. So please be curious also during the presentations, and consider also the following points. So diversity is not always visible, but diverse society, as we are, requires that its members are visible to others. And I invite everyone to meet everyone as their own self, also in an online meeting like this, not making like assumptions about gender or religion or anything else connected to the identity of people. And today also, especially, everyone is really highly encouraged and invited to participate. So because it's also your right to ask questions, to be curious, and to participate in the discussion when you have questions to our experts or comments later on about this topic. And let's listen to understand, also not just to respond, and wander together and welcoming lots of questions, hopefully. And having said that, let me change the slide again. I mentioned in the beginning briefly, with ENHANCE Lunchinars, we really want to promote some dialogue, critical discussions, provide an engaging but also practical learning. The experts will also share some resources with you, some ideas, so hopefully you can even transfer it, take it with yourself to your daily activities. And the Lunchinars are open for everyone, as accessible as possible, hopefully, and with a big reach. Good. Yeah, having said that, the straight agenda is actually just, I'm almost finishing with my part. Łukasz will start with his presentation. After that, María will continue. And let me also put this link into the chat because everyone is invited to ask questions, and there are different ways to ask questions. First is, of course, if you feel more comfortable on Mentimeter, you can ask any questions to the speakers during the presentation. But you can also just write your question in the chat, or just raise your digital Zoom hand and then speak the question. So there are different ways to answer your questions. And someone had sent, by the way, an AI tool, README. I have refused that. Just be aware of that, because we are not using it in ENHANCE Alliance activities. So here is also the link for the Mentimeter, so you can also join anytime. Sorry, this is the wrong link. I see here. Let me just change one thing. So this is the correct link. Let me erase the wrong link first. Okay, so let me put you, Łukasz, first in the spotlights, then your screen, and then you are also visible. But you can also just share your screen in a while. Let me see. I put you. So here we have Łukasz for everyone, and we have also, of course, María, Alfonso also here. Here we go. Okay, Yeah, nice to see you also here, everyone. 51 people are interested to listening to you. Łukasz, do you want to share your screen first?
Yes, thank you so much. I will do so. Just full screen mode. Is it okay?
Now I see your screen,
yes.
Full screen, your presentation. It looks perfect. Over
Thank
to
you so much. Thank you so much, María, for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me to this Lunchinar. It's really a pleasure. Welcome from sunny Gdańsk today. I will not have a very long lecture, as you called me. I would say it will be a short introduction to the topic, which is of the utmost interest to many scholars now. But I would just like to share some insights into our study that we have performed for some time now, for a couple of years, on what makes organizations neurodiversity inclusive, and this stems from really a spark of interest, and understandable spark of interest into the recognition of neurodiversity as a valuable human variation. I would say that the focus have been there, but not so much in terms of the organizational research. And this topic, in terms of what really makes companies, organizations, or universities neurodiversity inclusive, is not so well understood. While, as we know, the prevalence of the neurodiversity is currently really visible, and for sure it has benefits. So what we also noted starting the study, that there is a number of organizational benefits, and we take this perspective in our approach to employing neurodivergent individuals. So it of course it does not mean that there are only benefits, and this is important to say. There are also constraints and challenges to employment. But as a matter of fact, the positive psychology sparked the interest into looking how we can make the working environments more neurodiversity inclusive. And I think this is very important. And we noted an important research gap there about especially understanding of the organizational determinants, not individual, but what makes really the organizations more prone and open to employing individuals with neurodiversity background. So basically, our focus in the research we have performed was the understanding of those organizational factors that influence the creation of neurodiversity embracing enterprises, as we say, focusing on two aspects, which I will explain in a moment: propensity and readiness to employ neurodivergent individuals. So we designed a study, and we got the funding for this study to design and empirically test the neurodiversity organizational maturity model, how we called it, which looks at the organization's capacity from two perspectives. First is this organizational propensity. So it's a kind of openness, willingness, but there are different elements of this propensity, as I will show you. But it generally reflects how organization is willing and what influences that to employ neurodivergent individuals. And on the other hand, there is a readiness factor, meaning I can be open and I can be willing to employ, but I also have to be ready, having structural, procedural, or other resource-based elements of preparedness. So we did this study within a team led by Michał Tomczak, then myself, Przemysław Banasik and Katarzyna Sienkiewicz from our university, and we were financed by the National Science Center of Poland. So what we actually did, it was a multi-stage research, but I don't have time to explain it in very much granularity. But apart from the study that I present, we also had the qualitative part to define those elements of propensity and readiness. But I will only focus on the study that we did on the companies. a quota sample of over 1,000 enterprises have been analyzed with the specific focus sectors. The rationale behind it was that these sectors, IT, BPO, and manufacturing, especially high and medium-high technology, were identified in our preliminary research, desk review, and qualitative research as most likely to employ neurodivergent individuals. So we did an analysis of the quota stratified sample for that, and undertook research in over 1,000 enterprises. This was a survey-based research, and it showed some interesting findings, actually. So here you can see our assumed model. I will not delve very deep into the analysis of data, because we also performed structural equation modeling on these variables. But generally, we wanted to see whether these factors, which we identified in the first part of our research, that build propensity and readiness, so this willingness of organizations and the preparedness, I would say, do have really can be visible in the organizations, and can show some level of maturity that would support the employment of neurodivergent individuals. So quite complicated, but in a sense, we try to understand what really influences the diversity, openness, and readiness to employ these people. So first of all, out of the research findings, and I think this is very important, majority of companies, which are business-focused companies, of course, of different sizes, also including small and medium enterprises, showed low maturity in employing, in readiness and propensity to employ neurodivergent individuals. Over 70% have no or very low propensity on both axes. Only 1.5% really showed a high level of both. We have measures to measure the level also in terms of each variable, but so I can, if somebody is interested, I can show more details and data or send the articles, but generally this is how it looks. And some firms, what is really interesting, are ready but not willing, suggesting that some of the companies view neurodiversity more as a moral duty than as an advantage, which is, of course, not wrong by itself, but in a sense, it does not stem from the actual need to employ those people, which is quite surprising, taking, as I said in the beginning, the positive psychology perspective. So this is very important to note. Other findings as the summary, as propensity, so this willingness increases, readiness tends to rise too. So it means that, companies which value inclusion are more likely to invest in a real support systems. Propensity grows, especially when organizations have a business need for diverse talent, have motivated leaders, those, for example, who have, also family members with neurodiversity, but they have really motivation to employ and include those individuals, have more open, inclusive culture, and desire for positive reputation. While the preparedness, readiness increases, while there is internal agreement on the inclusion goals, there are resources and policies in place to support employees. There is a strategic alignment of inclusionist business aims and employee awareness and training, so the people also need to be prepared to function in such environments, inclusive environments. Of course, different factors influence the level of maturity. So it was more visible in IT sector, larger companies, of course, with developed HR functions and located in big cities. But I think, looking at ENHANCE Alliance, actually we are those companies, right? Big, high level of knowledge, large size, maybe I don't know about the development of HR functions, but I hope that it is still good and located in large cities. So as what it means for, of course, this study was not done exclusively on universities, but I think it has some conclusions that we can draw for our universities. So we can, of course, view neurodiversity as more as an advantage and not just an equity issue, right? I mean, we have to take the perspective of those people contributing importantly to our communities. So we should take action to strengthen organizational propensity, especially through leadership commitment, inclusive culture, and embedding this issue in mission and values, and build organizational readiness. So it means, you know, the preparedness to employ with clear policy, staff training, and accessible environments. And this has to be an important issue, is that there has to be institution university-wide consensus and resource allocation, of course, because it also costs money to invest initially. So I think this is very important that we view this as one of the strategic goals to link inclusion into institutional excellence and reputation. And that's it. Thank you for listening. And of course, I welcome any questions and comments, and are willing to share some other insights from the research. This was a very brief information. Thank you so
Łukasz.
much.
Very brief, but very triggering already. So very nice, interesting. Nice that you also finished with this topic of university focus. And I think it's a perfect transfer to you, Maria, if you want to share your screen also. I see lots of clapping heads for the first part. Thanks, Łukasz, again. And I see already some questions are coming to Mentimeter. So just keep Mentimeter link open and add more questions. After that, we will look at them and, of course, discuss also your questions if you want to write it in the Zoom chat or you want to speak it. But let's see. First, we have, now I see your screen, Maria. Can you please also minimize Zoom? Because I think we see these gray boxes that are coming from Zoom on the right side when you see, for example, myself or other people in the, just make it as small as possible that it is not blocking the view too much.
It's not clear now? Or
if you start the presentation, please. And then do you see also Zoom on your right side?
Not actually.
No, not really? Okay.
Please.
I mean, there is this gray box on
just...
the very right side, but I think it doesn't block the view. It's okay. So
if not, I can just here. It's not clear there. Sorry.
If you just start the presentation, I think that's totally fine. The gray box.
In the meantime, sorry. Now it's better.
Can you start the presentation?
The full yeah.
It's okay. On the right side, there is this gray box to me at least, but it doesn't disturb the contents, so we can still see perfectly the contents on the slide. Thank you. If you want, you can start there.
Sorry for that. Well, in the meantime, thank you for inviting me. As you said, I'm coming from Valencia. Super happy to see the interest in learning about the current state in university and neurodiversity. And it's truly encouraging to see how many people have chosen to be here. I'm not sure, Nicholas, if you have raised your hand, if you want to say something, probably in a technical matter. I will be happy to hear. Okay, it was just sorry. But yeah, super happy to be here and to be involved in this, let's say, thought-provoking conversations, and super happy to see how many people have chosen to be here today. And thanks, Łukasz, as well for your intervention regarding the organizational factors that embrace neurodiversity. But to ensure that we share our understanding, whenever I refer during this presentation to ASD, I was speaking about autism spectrum disorder. I know that many of you are already familiar with this, but it's important to establish a shared foundation before we begin. Can you see the next
Yes.
Slide?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Dr. Temple Grande Networks. Thank you.
That's it. So yeah, to open the conversation, I would like to begin with Temple Grandin, the hack machine of Temple Grandin. She's one of the most influential voices in the field of autism. During her time at university, she built the now famous hacking machine. It was inspired by some devices used to calm body pressure, and it helped her to reduce anxiety and focus. So Temple's Garden hacking machine, let's say, there is a powerful metaphor for what it means to seek security, emotional regulation, and space. And Grandin created to, let's say, adapt to her environment, as many ASD students at university that are facing within institutions logics. This hacking machine or squeeze machine as well symbolizes the need, let's say, for structural support and for creating environments that regulate without limiting and that accompany without imposing, let's say. But thinking about university from this metaphor implies recognizing that it's not just a matter of offering a specific support, just that, but also to building spaces that allow each student to find their own form of calm and belonging. And then, as many of you know, the current state of autism and how we understand it, and regarding its evolution, ASD is a neurodevelopmental, let's say, a condition that appears early in life and affects communication, interaction, learning, and sensory processing. It alters, let's say, both the structure of functioning and of the brain and the nervous system. And different ASD people display different combination of features, and so that's why we at this point of the time start to speak about as a spectrum. But a major shift occurred in 2013 within the DSM, which is the manual that it's actually employed in the medical terms, which unified the previous separate diagnosis and features, such as the Asperger's syndrome or PDD nose, which is a recessive developmental disorder, into a singular umbrella category. And now it's called autism spectrum disorder. And this change reflects decades of research, showing that these were not just distinct conditions, but variations within a broader continuum. Actually, over the past 20 years, our understanding has evolved as well. And we now recognize that this spectrum is, as I was saying, co-occurring conditions such as ADHD or mental health difficulties. And we now recognize the importance of adapting their environments, not just individuals. And yet, despite advances despite advances so far within these terms, many structural gaps remain unclear, and especially in the intervention field. Now that I'm coming from an educational science background, I can see it from the lens of intervention. So this is something important to highlight as well. But in Spain, if we can just raise a concrete, let's say, or practical, we speak in practical terms. In Spain, universities are beginning to collect systematic data on neurodivergent students, but significant gaps remain unclear, as I was saying. The number of students with this type of disorders or within this spectrum has increased by 160% in the last 8 school years. In 2021 and 2022 academic year, students with disabilities represent about 1.6% of the total university of student body. And as you know, more and more autistic teenagers or students aspire to enter a university, and they do, but research on how to support them effectively is still scarce, let's say. And especially regarding our practical, let's say, case, the number of neurodivergent students has doubled in 1 year. So especially if we focus on ASD in higher education, research consistently shows that autistic students experience challenges as well as opportunities. But if we focus on challenges, there's different key areas, such as time management and planning, or social interaction, cooperation, or even conflict resolution. But as well, if we consider this psychological approach, we can just focus on self-determination or self-regulation abilities, which are pretty linked with anxiety and emotional challenges, regulations, or coping with stress. And these challenges affect not just their academic performance, but also well-being and social participation and retention from an institutional perspective. So if we can, we have a specialized center for this type of adaptation or interventions. At UPV, we have the CDAT institution and center, which provides information and advice to members of university community with disabilities, as well as assistance and support within their academic challenges, within their classrooms. They provide technical aids for study to those students who require them. They promote and manage training and employment, providing various services, such as a special employment center. And the main objective to this center, let's say, is to develop productive activities in the labor market in order to guarantee the social and labor integration of people with cognitive and intellectual disabilities. And I have to say personally that having them at university and in our daily lives raises awareness among students as well. So seeing them all over the campus, it's super great, because let's say that raise sensitive and awareness within students within this matter. But being critical, there's still significant gaps in research and practice worldwide. There's, let's say, lack of consistent national statistics. We actually need more longitudinal data. And then we have, let's say, limited research, as I was saying, on educational interventions by cognitive profiles or comorbidities. So we should consider this evidence-based approach and supporting models for personalized interventions. Regarding the institutional adaptation, which is actually crucial, there's no response considering the question of how do adjustments or staff training translate into real outcomes. So actually the main outcome or reflection that I want to reflect into this intervention is to consider co-designing projects with autistic students to ensure the relevance and ethical practice within this research. And also one of the points that I can outline regarding the research that I've been doing so far within this matter, it's to study probably the transition between secondary education and universities, because it's actually remaining unclear and it's particularly underdeveloped. There's no clear evidence, let's say, within this understanding of autistic students or autism as a whole. But yeah, one of the main points regarding this matter is that we need broader and representative data across universities. as well as systematic collaboration among our institutions. And crucially, we should centralize their voices and their experiences themselves, but as well as having or considering the lecturer's position or perspective, support staffs who accompany them, and then having, let's say, co-designed approach within this matter. And across all perspective, this, let's say, it's the current state of AST, and we should know in a deeper way how it's functioning, how we can adapt, how we can support them, and how to better understand their needs in a, let's say, pedagogical perspective, because we cannot tackle this alone, and we must or should raise awareness within this matter, train academic communities, develop support systems, and not just only for their academic success, but also for their well-being and for their autonomy. This is one of those things that remain particularly important in the current state of autism, especially in higher education. And yeah, this is one of my perspective. Regarding one of the tools that I was asked to, let's say, consider in order to, let's say, get your perspective and collaborate somehow, it's, let's say, preparing, let's say, in a status of the issue represented by other universities. So if you could complete it, I will just drop it in the chat. I mean, it's not needed for the moment, but I can just drop the link in the chat, as I was speaking with Ellie as well. And if you could complete it or share it with those who are responsible of this matter, I will be more than grateful, because understanding, let's say, the commitment or the reality in your universities will help us to better or deeply have a deeper understanding of the matter. And yeah, I say, yeah, thanks for your attention, let's say. And thanks for your time.
Thank you also, Maria, for sharing these. Thank you so much. If you want, you can stop screen sharing. And also lots of clapping hands I see here, digitals, and thank you. And if it works, please also activate your video camera, then we can see you again, Maria. Very nice, thanks. Perfect. Lots of clapping heads. In the meantime, I see like 13 questions to our both experts, Łukasz and Maria. So without further ado, let me maybe share these questions, and then whoever feels addressed, feel free to comment or answer the question. And of course, it's just not Mentimeter. You can also write your question, dear audience, in the Zoom chat, or just raise your hand if you feel more comfortable, just to choose the best way to be curious. Okay, so Mentimeter, and I think this is not the first one in this way. Okay, this is the first. Let's just go through them. So Łukasz, neurodivergent people avoid speaking about their condition, or sometimes they even do not know it. How would you tackle this situation? Maybe relevant for both of you, but Łukasz, please start.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for all the questions. I also had a look at the Mentimeter. I would say that if most of the people are undiagnosed or unaware, and this is the starting point we have to acknowledge. I would say for me, it's three core elements, being also neurodivergent myself, that I find important in speaking loudly about it. First is inclusive environments, basically, not only on the grounds of neurodiversity. I would say if I feel, safe in the environment I'm working, I am more willing to share. The second powerful thing we can see also in the social media is testimonials. So once you see that somebody is speaking openly about their condition, you are more open to also share your perspective. And third is open communication channels, like this one, for example, right? It's the first, I would say, at least as far as I know, in ENHANCE, the first Lunchinar on neurodiversity, right?
Not the last one, I can tell you already, I think.
Yeah, but in a sense, you know, when you create open communication, for me, it's not a problem, right? And if somebody sees, okay, if he can be neurodivergent, I can be too, right? It doesn't prevent me from anything, basically. But I think that trust and support from your direct supervisor and your colleagues is also key.
I see lots of hearts in Zoom, so it's confirming by our audience.
You know, we cannot order people to come out, in a sense, right? Saying
thank you.
Now everybody shares. No, you have to be ready and feel safe.
Very nice, thank you. I hope the question is answered. María, do you want to add something to that from your perspective? So we don't have to answer all questions like two experts, but I think for this maybe you want to share. Are you?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, actually, I was just trying as well to, let's say, dive into statistics and how we can support properly to these profiles, let's say. But I find as well that it's really a sensitive topic. So they probably are not keen on sharing their situation. So this is practically, let's say, in pedagogical terms, some gap, because we cannot ensure that, let's say, that they want to share their situation within the university. So their condition remains sensitive. And this is a topic for our initiative, for their intervention, and for consider their adaptation of our institutions and approach within their situations. So yeah.
Thank you. Maybe let's continue to other questions and then discuss further. I will just change this one as answered. So, Łukasz, what would you suggest to universities to consider neurodiversity better? I think looking at your study, possibly, what are your first top 3 recommendations? And María, how does this sound to you when what he suggests as being part of the university? But let's listen to Łukasz first.
Yeah. Okay, as I already presented some recommendations, but if I was to choose top 3, I would say that it should start with the university leadership commitment, as any action of this kind from the top level. Not just understanding, but commitment. We want to do this. We include it in our mission. It is important for us as the leaders of the university. Second, building awareness and among managers and staff, and because this is we all discuss it, but in a sense we are still not in the position where we can say we are all aware of the issue. I don't want to call it the problem, because it's not a problem, but of the issue. And then 3, and very brutal for universities, I think, start investing. Right?
Investing.
Because you have to invest in processes, in training, in supports, in building cooperations, and this only goodwill will not save the day, I would say. So at some point you have to start investing.
Thank you. And María, what do you say from university perspective? I mean, Łukasz is also university perspective, of course, but what is your estimation to that?
I totally agree with what he was saying, especially regarding the adaptation. Let's say we should consider the dimension of knowing what is happening inside there. Let's say to be aware of the profiles that we're having, and then to train lecturers, supporting staff. I guess there is a structural issue as well. So it's not just a matter of understanding the neurodiversity, but also how to adapt properly. And this requires much more than understanding it. It's also a matter of studying the evaluation, the intervention, training of the whole structure of the university. So it's not just awareness, as Łukasz was saying. is a matter of researching into that, so promoting research into these interventions. And
yeah, thanks for that. Looks promising. I think we will be busy with this topic, neurodiversity, anyway. I think this is just starting today. And next question I have on the screen is: would you have any advice about whether or not to disclose and newly diagnosed ADHD to my boss? Autism potentially present as well? Question mark. Not sure if it is safe to do so or not. So, who feels like answering that? Maybe a short answer if you see any approach. If you don't feel like it's also totally off course.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
I think this kind of topic
the
plays
safest
well.
answer is we don't know, right? In a sense, because it's really hard to advise individually. It all depends on the specific case. But if the person does not feel safe to do so, I would say it's not the moment to do so, right? Because you have to feel safe to and know that this environment is safe to disclose.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
but is it about this organizational change that you also, I think you both somehow mentioned that we must
about
be also
organization,
kind of,
it's sometimes about the boss, it's sometimes about the climate,
part of the organization.
It's the organizational climate. It's really it's really complicated in a sense. So I wouldn't feel safe to advise do or not do so.
No, it's not about giving advice, of course, but I think this is connected to this, like an organization that welcomes this kind of invisible diversity, let's call it, also maybe with different words, or not. Or there is a kind of structure to welcome these people as well, right? With different invisible issues. It's not a problem, you said, which I like because it's really just part of the diversity of the people, right?
This is actually great. Sorry.
Okay. If it is good, then we can maybe leave it here. And knowing, I think that this is also connected to a continuous discussion on that. BPO is the next question. I think you explained that, Łukasz, in your case, it was...
Yes, business process outsourcing. It's all this area where, the other businesses outsource different levels from, invoicing to complicated IT processes to other organizations. It's a big sector, actually, also in Poland, in Gdańska.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the explanation. I already changed to the next question. The link to research results. I think you shared, Łukasz, in your case already
I shared
a link.
The conceptual model. The research findings, as I presented, are still under review. I hope it will be published soon. So I also will share the link then. Okay.
And maybe to announce in this context to the listeners, all the links and of course the presentations by two experts will be also put on our Padlet. We have a public Padlet tool. We call it like Resources Center, and then you can actually find all the presentations and some links of all ENHANCE Lunchinars. And also this session is right now being recorded. So also in ENHANCE channels, we will publicly share it. This knowledge. And María, to you, please.
Let me just add and dropping into that because I consider myself, let's say that during this time, I'm making kind of research and diving into, as I was saying, statistics and knowing the research results. It's, let's say, specifically in ASD, autism spectrum. But it remains unclear, and I was actually surprised by the clear data that we have within that topic. So I'm not sure if you know about some institution or some organization addressing this topic. Please feel free to share it as well, because specifically in Spain we don't have access to that data. And I'm really curious about how you manage within this topic within your context. So if I can just raise that topic, I will just consider.
Yeah, very nice that you share this call with the public, that I'm happy also to add into the follow-up email, because not everyone is today in the session who was registered and showed interest to be here, probably knowing that this will be recorded and shared. I see someone, Justina, please go ahead. You want to maybe add another question, and then at one point we go back to Mentimeter. Yeah, the questions, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I was wondering whether there is any estimate of how many people with neurodiversity are hired at higher education institutions, because I believe that it's not only students that we have to support, but also employees. So Łukasz has shared his testimonial. I think I can have some neurodiversity as well. This is at least what people are telling me, so I don't know if it's just extra energy or maybe some kind of neurodiversity, not sure yet. But we are exploring this topic on how to build the awareness and how to support not only students, so not only to adapt the way we are teaching, but also to adapt the way we work with each other to create this open environment, as Łukasz said. So, Łukasz, Maria, do you have any estimates? And just because I'm already speaking, I already advertised that on the chat, but we have a special...
We will put it in the follow-up email,
Yes, Enhance Knowledge Hub. So just a space for people who are interested in functional diversity of employees, because this is the topic that is very rarely spoken about. So there is this special place where we can meet and discuss, and there will be a staff week conducted in May between 6th and 8th of May next year, and it's fully sponsored by NAWA, Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange. Today I received the confirmation that the grant was given to us, so please register and join us for further discussions on that topic. And now, the question about estimates.
Exactly. Maybe if you know, it's difficult, probably, Maria or Łukasz.
Yeah, if I could just address my perspective on that, I would say that it's a clear matter of perspectives, and considering the educational approach in a way that, as imagine that you're my partner, and I'm working with you, I will be, let's say, sensitive within your features. I will be aware of your features, and I will be willing for you to feel well with your work and with your, say, organization. So I think it's a matter of understanding your situation, your features, and not imposing anything, and just pushing yourself for being you in a way. So without speaking even about diagnosis or not, I think that is much more broader than just knowing a diagnosis of someone.
Yeah.
It's
do you also see it,
being
Łukasz,
sensitive.
like... Thank you. Yeah, do you also
I
see
would
it
say
similar,
that we don't even have a rough estimate of how many people actually are being employed or study regarding this broad spectrum of different neurodiversity conditions, I would say. But just to share one number that we found in the study, I didn't have the time to talk about it. How many of the 1,000 organizations that we surveyed actually consciously employ? So they know that they employ neurodiverse individuals. It's roughly 7%. So basically, of course, more than that, I'm sure, employ neurodiverse individuals, but most of them are not aware. So the people
not asking,
do not disclose, or they are not asking. So basically, probably at the university we have a very broad representation, but we don't know how many actually.
Maybe this also fits, thanks for that, this also fits to the comment. Someone says, I think universities concern quite a lot about students' neurodiversity, but for workers, like for staff, it seems to be almost a taboo, also liked by some people. And even connected to this question on the screen, how well are our universities faring with respect and propensity and readiness? So I think it's one of these how questions.
I can only guess. We don't have the research yet on universities, but I would say more propensity than readiness generally. So, open, because we are quite, especially as somebody also shared in terms of the students, I'm more and more open to, to create a culture that is inclusive, etc. But I'm not really convinced. I don't have the data. It's just a feeling that we are ready to do so. Maybe more willing than ready.
Okay, yeah, but that is maybe a kind of foundation to continue for sure. If it's okay for the public and our speakers, I will just change to the next question. Then we have a little bit touching old questions, not going too much in because of the time. And I think we can also check the left questions, if there are any left questions that we have at least a written answer or a comment by our speakers in the follow-up email. Just short answers are possible. The next one on my screen is companies are always interested in cost and profit. Is there any data to show that having more inclusive employment policies for people with neurodiversity benefits either of these aspects? I'm not sure. I think you mentioned somehow that aspect, but not, what?
Yes. Thank you so much. I would say that if, of course, if in majority of cases we don't have such information, I mean, not for the market. There are some companies who try to do so, especially the big ones, multinationals that have programs, long-lasting programs to support neurodiverse employees. But in order to really have this data, we would have to have either what we call cost-benefit analysis, CBA, formal analysis of all costs and all benefits, or a return on investment analysis. So basically, I'm not aware of any of such studies currently. But probably this is something for the future to show, the real costs and real benefits of the program once they become more prevalent.
Yeah. Thanks, Łukasz. I hope the question is answered by those who asked that. María, the next one is addressing you directly. Did the number of neurodiversity in schools really increase, or was it maybe always there? Now we understand it better now, question mark. Or is it both? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, if I can just extend my thoughts with you within this matter, I would say that it's not, let's say, a matter of having more autistic people. It's how we diagnose it. During my presentation, I just highlight this theme, especially regarding how broad it is. This is actually in a spectrum, and the way we consider it as a spectrum, it has different features, and they are even more general now. So it's not just a matter of having more, it's about how we measure it. And this is actually, promoted in more and more cases. So it's about the perspective that we are having from within ASD or autism.
Thank you.
I think that is not a matter just of having more. It's just, it's a matter of measuring it.
Yeah, it's also very important really to do this kind of research and to define further how we measure and understand. I will continue to the next question, not this one. So let me check. I think this was focusing the same topic. Any idea of the rapid increase? But I think you just explained, María, in your case. I will mark this as answered. The next question I have here is, what must ENHANCE, okay, so the Alliance, do in this topic, question mark. So can all member universities find their own way how to deal with neurodiversity? Can the University Alliance facilitate somehow meaningfully, question mark. Yeah, what do you think? Do we have to consider this, except for this kind of public events, other ways? Or is it okay to leave it, not to mix this European perspective? I don't know who feels. You both are also involved in the Alliance.
I think that we should be actually doing both. So basically, there should be initiatives like at the enhanced level, like the ones mentioned by Justyna, for example, the support for functional diversity, seminars, and building awareness. But I think it also depends on the specific contextual situation within the university. So there have to be actions taken, at the university level with specific, for trainings or specific team building activities or procedures, because this is something that's really, it's not only the idea. The awareness is the first thing, but we really need very concrete actions like, supports, trainings, procedures. Basically, being an academic teacher, I don't have a clear understanding of, for example, how to proceed with different type of neurodiverse students. It's not, systematized in a sense. I would greatly like to have it. Yeah. I mean, in a
So
sense,
you
understand
have this need.
how to work with them.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think it's a clear message that more even deeper discussions or research in general terms, more understanding, more management, active leadership needed. Maria, do you want to add to that? Maybe we can also conclude it here after your
I totally agree on that, especially regarding the awareness of this, let's say, topic, but also how we can collaborate, let's say. That's one of the objectives of my, let's say, intervention, in a way that we consider this gap, and this is unclear, so how we can ensure that everyone is going on the right direction. And this is a matter of collaborating between each other and cooperating and knowing how to do it properly. And that requires dialogue, let's say.
Thank you. I think these are good final words from your side as our experts today. We still do have some very interesting questions which are not answered. As I have just announced, I will just share the questions with our speakers and ask them for their short answers, and then I'm happy to add it to this well-promised follow-up email that will reach everyone who was registered for this event today. So you will have it. And of course, I think contact information of Łukasz and María as members of our universities in ENHANCE are public anyway. So of course, feel free to reach out to them, maybe plan the next research project and continue how to continue. But let me share first what else do we do here actually. And then I can also briefly mention to you our upcoming ENHANCE Lunchinars and more events. Actually, also on Friday, 12th December, we will be having another ENHANCE Lunchinar, the last one this year, about another pressing issue in academic world. This time it is about gender-based violence. We will have experts speaking and sharing their insights from Podimi, Milan in Italy, member of ENHANCE Alliance as well. And there will be also more events related and potentially relevant for you as interested audience today to the neurodiversity topics and generally speaking diversity topics like Mind the Gap, exploring cultural differences, and in January employees with autism spectrum disorders and more events. But again, we will be sharing this with you in the follow-up email. And having said that, thanks again for waiting until and listening until and discussing until the end of today's session. We have still lots of people here in the room. Wishing you all a great day, and hope to see you in another activity or initiative of ENHANCE Alliance and join our mission to shape Europe, everyone. And take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thanks to the speakers, of course. Lots of big speakers. Thank you. Thank you.